Yes, this is Horns Up. I'm Animesn.
And I'm Peter.
And today we are spotlighting one of India's brightest extreme acts, Maneating Orchid. Welcome to the podcast, guys. And yes, it's more than one member from the band. So you guys know the drill. Introduce yourselves, please. Maybe alphabetical order.
Right, that would be me, I guess. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Kaushal. I do vocals for Maneating Orchid.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having us. I'm Vinay and I handle guitars for Maneating Orchid.
Welcome, guys. Congratulations on the release of the second full-length Hive Mind, which was released 17 March 2022. Now, it's been a few weeks, right, since the release.
Right.
How's it going, man? Like just how are the reviews been, views, observations, critiques, all pretty much on par with your expectations?
I guess we don't really have the word expectations in our vocabulary because, we just do what we do and we just put it out there. And if somebody likes it, that it's great. I mean, we're kind of in a weird space. And, I would say it's kind of like a acquired taste or a micro niche or whatever. Or maybe it may not be that. But in my mind, at least it's like, we just do it for more of the artistic element, I would say. And I would pass that on to Vinay to elaborate maybe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when we make the music, we have no expectations. Just bearing in mind just fundamentally where we are coming from sound-wise. But having said that, whatever Kaushal has said, to add on whatever little review we've got in this little time from friends and I think we got from Matt Index podcast also, I'd say it's all right. I mean, it's not amazing. And all right is good for us. It's been better than the previous album in this little space of time. So I guess timeline-wise, it's probably too close to say anything. But within this time, great. I'm happy.
Yeah, I think I just spoke too much for the word. Expectations. But definitely the word. I guess like whatever I've been hearing or whatever I've been seeing on the web. It's been pretty positive for the most part. I think. Whoever has heard it have good things to say. I mean, I guess it's important for us to reach the right people more than just a mass blast into the void. You know what I mean?
When you're saying that, right, and in terms of expectations, I don't know why I go back to the memory of watching you guys at Control Alt Delete, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago. And that was something because for context, Control Alt Delete is a multi-genre, multi-stage festival, right? So you can keep going on different stages and get a sample of music. And for me, I stayed through the entire set, but just seeing the people that came in and left and just seeing their kind of reactions to the music was something, right?
Oh man, it was definitely something. I definitely saw standing on stage, watching quite a few people turn their backs. I was like, okay, not the best side, but at the same time, I saw like the small crowd right up in the front losing their shit. So, I made peace with the fact that that's how it's going to be. And it's totally cool. Like Kaushal said, there's no mass and all over here. It's always going to be, for most of the time, it's going to be the guys who've kind of been following us or maybe a couple of bands in that same vicinity, more or less be the same guys. I don't know how easily we generally find like a new audience. From whatever personal insight that I could have, whatever experience I've had from like seeing this, it's more or less the same kind of people, same friends who are listening to it. I don't know how much of like an increase it has been, but like I said, it's only been 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll get more. Like the perimeter of audience will increase and people will stay back when you're playing.
I just wanted to add to Vinay's observation about that. Recently I was just looking at some statistics about where most of our listeners have been. And surprisingly, on Apple Music, the first, most number of listeners, the country that's listed over there is the United States. And the second, number 2 is India. And I'm just talking about Apple Music, but it's a interesting observation that, there are more people listening to us over there than here.
It's not a surprising thing because I'm pulling back the curtains here for Horns Up listeners. Most of our listeners are in the United States too, not in India.
Oh.
Well, I was also going to attribute it to the subject matter. Maybe a lot of people in the States can relate a lot more to what you all are writing and can talk about it, I think, more openly compared to India. I don't know. Is that something you've thought about?
I don't know if we ever going to think about where it's going to go to be very honest, no. Obviously, abroad, US has like a fairly strong underground scene, at least closely associated with this sound, if not the exact same thing. So yeah, I mean, in a way, I guess it is not surprising that more people are from there than they are from here. I truly can't name, and I'm not even boasting. I can't name like even like 3 to 4 other bands when we go on, whenever we have to like supposedly have like a gig and hey, who'll fit this bill? We are always like, who do we put? We played like the weirdest bills. I mean, the straight in the best possible way.
No, I mean, even the gigs that they've played recently or whatever. By recently, I mean, whatever you guys played over the last 3 to 4 years, it's always been the alternate extreme scene bands that have been playing with you guys, right? Like everybody from a pacifist to false flag. The Riot Peddlers should have been there, but whatever, that didn't end up happening. But it's so weird for these kind of bands to come together. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. The fact that we have such a varied lineup, but there doesn't seem to be an acceptance for this kind of music at large, like how conventional metal is accepted in India, at least. That I find to be weird.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting observation. You're right that we were playing a show. I think it was a series of gigs. It was Pacifist, Dirge, False Flag, and Maneating Orchid in 2 cities. And I think Pacifist and Dirge went on to play another show in another city. I guess one show that we didn't play. But yeah, that was really great, man. I mean, it felt like a mini sub-scene, sub-niche. I don't know what to call it, but
exactly.
It's a very special one-off thing that happened. And yeah, it was great. And yeah, apart from those kind of bands, we also, we've also played with other bands as well. Like, for example, Plague Throat, it's just been crazy that wherever we play, I mean, Plague Throat is also playing the same show. So, there's been another side of that where there is like this band that I remember playing with them at least 3 or 4 times, maybe 3 times. Yeah. 4 would be overstating it, but yeah, probably 3 times we've definitely played together. The most recent show we've done is with like, again, Chaos and like XDP Tech. So I also like to play with grindcore bands. I don't know, there is some level of this outsider feeling that you're somewhat of an outsider, right? Like it's like at least bands like grind, because they're not exactly metal, right? You've got
exactly, yeah.
You've got that element over there. So yeah, I like to play with grind bands as well. But yeah.
Okay, so considering how India is at the moment and things are opening up, etc., is there a live element to your post-release plans?
Yes, yeah. We are planning something, but yeah, we just want to be ready. I mean, we just want to make sure everything's like finalized and in place before we announce the show. But there is definitely, we're planning at least 1 or 2 live shows. So yeah, I see that happening maybe like in another month and a half, 2 months maybe, or lesser. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've recently read or come across a few new venues in Mumbai. I don't know how metal friendly they are, but just let it.
And again, man, this isn't a conventional metal band.
Yeah, true. Actually, that's true. Right?
And it's funny. It's funny because every time there's a new metal venue, the first thing that people like us ask ourselves is it heavy music friendly? Is it metal friendly? Is it like, for us, it's like a whole different thing. There's like a sub filter when it comes to, okay, you don't know whether you need to be happy or sad about a new metal venue opening up, because you never know.
But here's the thing, right? And I want to kind of dive into Hive Mind. And, the album is such a variety of sounds. So literally for you guys could send like one song saying that, hey, this is what our sound is like actually, but show up playing like the other part of the album.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That totally works. I hear exactly what you're saying. Yeah, we can sell ourselves as different like guys for different like rosters, bills, whatever. Like here's a small song. Here's like a long, like really fucked up sound.
Oh, and by the way, now we use harmoniums too.
Oh yeah. So.
Yeah. But tell us about that. I mean, you did mention, and I'm quoting you on that, where you saw Kaushal saying like a lot of this music is like artistic for y'all. At any point, does it cross your mind that, okay, how is this music going to be perceived? Or you're like, you know what, we're just making it because we want to make it, and that's it?
I'll just say it from like when literally like a riff gets or an idea gets generated, I'm just like super excited for the music alone. That's all it is. Of course, once the whole thing is done and you have a slightly bigger picture, you're like, oh man, I wonder, how people will perceive it. You want to compare the previous album and all of that. But at the time, like the music is being made, it's intrinsically a selfish satisfaction. That's all it is. Because once it gets done, no, it's going to be about the others. Once you show it literally to, like if I take it out of my system and I just send these guys the demo and say, hey man, check this out, it's not mine alone anymore. I look at it like that. It gets shared. So it's already not private, I guess. It's private within the band, sure. But once it gets recorded, by the time it gets recorded, kind of move on from personal artistic like contentment and expression and all of that to, oh man, I wonder what would people think of it. So there's definitely that. But I think that comes into my mind only when kind of, there's like a decent summation of like 33 minutes of music or some kind of a story to tell. But at the time of composition, at the time of writing, when you're in the middle of it, all I want to do is satisfy my own ear, right? Of course, I'm considering the other 3 pairs of ears within the band, of course. But the band's ears, that's all I'm looking for. Hey, is this something that we can do? Is this exciting for us to play? Is this fun? I mean, it's got to be fun. If it's not, hey, I'm not doing this.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna ask you guys to build on that thought a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this is a question which is meant for the both of you, but I think it warrants for individual answers. So, Vinay, since you were talking, let's first have you answer this.
Okay.
What is that man-eating orchid filter for you? Like, what is that? What is the level that a riff or something needs to reach for it to hit that button that you just mentioned and become like, acha, now this is something that will fit, and this is something that not only satisfies me but can be shared with the others? Can you try and articulate it for us? It's a very tough question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I may or may not have to get unnecessarily nerdy on this.
No, please do. I think
okay.
that'll be fascinating.
Okay, sure. I mean, my personal favorite is like I'm trying to find when I write something or even when I listen to something, I'm trying to find something that has some sort of a groove minimum and like a really good note choice. Now, what is good note choice for me in my ears? It's just got wonky over the years from all the kinds of bands I've been listening. But the ideal thing would be like a really good like no choice and something that can, and hopefully we can find a nice groovy way to phrase it. That's going into the system. Now that's the day of me, hey, recording it and me like, oh man, what if you come up with this is awesome. And next day it's going to the recycle bin and it's like, hey, what were you even excited about? This sounds like everything else.
The other part also is, we have, even though we all listen to like pretty diverse, all of our tastes are like pretty different. I mean, I guess like that's there in every band. But again, even in same here in our band as well, we have those diverse tastes, and there is a sort of a Venn diagram where, that little area where all of our influences meet. And those influences are, it's a pretty weird range of music, man. I mean, anywhere from like, really old prog rock, psychedelic kind of proggy rock to, death metal to grindcore. It's a big spectrum. And there are, at least like within the band, we have sort of like learned to identify, what the other person would like in the context of the band. So, there's a lot of music that gets shared and a lot of shaping of this mono brain influence, I guess, for the, within the context of the band. Yeah. We don't like have obviously like a conscious idea. I mean, it's like more of a subconscious leaning that you automatically when you're listening to a certain sort of music. So that I guess that also plays a role in how, your question was like, when do you decide this riff is sort of like good for the band? So yeah, there is that lens as well.
Okay. One more question to just continue this thought. Now, Kaushal, you mentioned the Venn diagram, and that's a really good analogy as such. Is there, and this may be interpreted as a weird way to talk about the band's influences, but that's not really where I'm coming from. Is there like a perfect sounding piece of music or something that would be the perfect embodiment of what Man-Eating Orchid aims to be? Maybe
No.
this is a question that will get answered on your fourth album, fifth album, sixth album, when you'll finally arrive at, holy shit, this is what Man-Eating Orchid was always meant to deliver, and now we've delivered it. Now we don't need to deliver anything else. Like, are you guys aspiring for something like that, or is it just every album, let every song just be a product of that particular time, and that's what you guys want to do?
Yes, I think it's the latter one. It's I don't really think we have thought of maybe when we reach or release this particular record that sounds a particular way. I don't think we have something like that in our roadmap per se. I think it's a product of time, at least in my mind. I guess I'd let Vinay also elaborate on that.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if there's like one perfect sound or album that we're chasing. Every album, obviously, I'm looking at it as some sort of a timestamp for that phase or that period in life, and that will show at that point whatever we were listening to, or it basically shows us in that light at that period of time. Whether we want to put out at the end of fifth album and say, hey, this is us, and we finally release, I don't think so. We're just gonna take one album or whatever, one piece of one release as it is, and at that point, whatever feels good is good. Retrospect, I don't know. Maybe I won't like Hive Mind a year from now. Maybe I'll take the shit out of it. I don't know. But that's not what we're gonna look at. I mean, the aim's to be as real and honest at that point of time, right? And whatever happens with it via drums, bass, guitar, vocals, harmonium, I don't know, whatever percussion, that's gonna end up being the sound that the album has.
Right. Okay.
And if you want one perfect thing, I don't think that'll be possible. It'll be we're just gonna end up listing like a bunch of bands, and some amalgamation of those bands will end up being a song, which is pretty much the case with everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I said this wasn't a question to ask about your influences and something cliche like that as such. No, but this is an interesting answer because it allows me to ask you then, do you guys think you've evolved, and I'm using that word in particular, evolved on Hive Mind? And if so, what has that evolution been like? Essentially, this is another way of asking you, what really has Hive Mind taught you guys about yourselves? And how challenging has it been?
Yes, we have definitely evolved. I guess the band was founded in 2011. So we released our first EP in 2016. There was I guess it took a while for that first EP to be released. But yeah, we were just glad at that point of time that it was out of the way. You know, it was like something that we wanted to do, had been wanting to do for a long time. Now, the second album, Miasma, is where we aim to sort of, establish the sound. I mean, but I think Hive Mind really does it in terms of. I guess it's a. I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody says that about their new release and new album, but
heaviest, the loudest, best.
Fastest.
The heaviest,
fastest. It has to be fast. Hey.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely there, right? Yeah, it's. I'm not saying fastest and heaviest, but it's definitely some of our best work. That I will say. We've kind of like, I guess with every album, we've sort of like incorporated different styles within our sound for us. I mean, for Hive Mind was at least in terms of songwriting, it was a step up. At least that's what I think. And yeah, and Vinay, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, evolution wise, I don't know how much, like within the band, sure. I guess each album, if you can take, it's gotten little more experimental. We've pushed personally, we've pushed boundaries with what and all we can do in terms of sound, in terms of other instruments we can use. That's surely a personal evolution within the band, for the period of time it's been around. Now, if some other new guy who's listened to like a bunch of bands listen to our last album, it might not seem like an evolution because it might sound like something that's already out there, right? So within the band, sure, it's definitely evolved, and I'm very proud of whatever we put out. It's definitely our best work. There's definitely a different kind of learning or evolution in terms of songwriting. That was the biggest change on this album. The process, how the song was written. Like COVID simply made us work in a different way. So in short, I figured out drum programming during COVID. Game changer. Till then, we had like a couple of songs. The first couple of songs are oldies on the album. This has been around for a couple of years. After that, the next 8 songs got written in the 3 months of me being frustrated in COVID. It got because I figured out drum programming. It was that I never suspected it, but it happened. So that way it is an evolution for me per se. Because the process itself was different. We are used to meeting once a weekend, jamming out riffs. Sure, maybe I was still coming up with bits here and there, but it was still like banging out riffs over and over. Here, there was nothing. I was like, hey man, just put part of the part. And I used to send them a song. I was like, here's another song. Here's another song. And at the end of it, I was like, oh, here's like 30 odd minutes. Maybe this can be something. And then it was, kind of worked out. So that way the process has evolved. Sorry, Peter.
Also to add to that, we are a band that writes mostly in the rehearsal room. Like, we're a band that writes mostly in the rehearsal room. And also one more interesting thing that I want to add to what Vinay was saying is, the band was formed in 2011 and we've managed to jam almost every Sunday, like regularly. Like, so for us, it was like, we just wanted to have that. And even if something's happening or not happening, we've almost managed to, so if everybody's free on a Sunday, we just have those jams like every single Sunday. So yeah, I guess COVID put a stop to that for a little while, but yeah, we got back at it. And also on top of that, the thing is, we all knew each other from, when we were in our teens, I guess, like late teens, and we've all like, we were kids then, and we kind of literally grew up with each other in terms of, becoming better musicians and, like just getting better over time. And we've seen each other sort of like level up or whatever. But yeah, like I thought that would be another interesting tidbit.
But I wanted to hear from you, Kaushal, because when I'm looking at the album credits, right, the vocals and bass are recorded at Maneating Cave. So did you also figure out to record yourself, like how Vinay figured out drum programming? What was that like?
No. Maneating Cave is basically my house.
Have to have cool house names. We can't just say Kaushal's house or my house. It has to be a studio or a cave or a den, some primitive place that no one can find. It's a very nice place, but on Bandcamp, it has to look at this fuck the place we recorded. It's just a funny thought, right? Because when you're thinking cave, same like Colin Marston's cave, I'm thinking, oh, fuck, this is a cave. The fucking tent. This is where we're recording music. Sorry.
I guess people might take it literally, man. You never know.
Yeah.
It's a cooler name, It's a cooler name to have on the credits. Sure.
Yeah, a better.
But I did not record myself. I think for vocals, I think it just helps to have somebody who can just record it. I think it gets a little difficult when you're facing the booth or you're standing. I guess it can get a little more difficult than probably like recording your own guitar parts or bass parts because you're like sitting right in front, right? And I think I do want to do that sometime in the future, but no, for this album, I just preferred having somebody So yeah, we had like Apurva Agarwal, from Pacifist. We had him over for about 10 days, and so basically he served as a producer and mix engineer on the album. And so he was here for about 10 days and knocked it out. Like we knocked out most of the recording, started with drums and bass and vocals. So yeah, it was great, man. He's such a great person to work with, and I think he was just right for us. He just understands our music. So everything was like super efficient, and it was a fun process. So yeah, I guess like the Maneating Orchid, the Maneating Cave that you see on the album credits. Yeah, it's Apurva helping us out a lot in my house.
Shout out to Apoor, by the way. What a chap.
Yeah, shout out to Apoor heavily because he's one of the brightest people in the scene at the moment. And I mean, at the moment, he just seems to be the guy to go to for if you're looking for this kind of an alternative extreme kind of a sound. Almost, and this is like very high praise, and I think he will never accept it, but he's almost like the Kurt Ballou of the Indian scene at the moment. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And the guy is just so
like his
easy to
ear
work
is
with.
great for this kind of a sound.
Absolutely. No, 100%. 100%. Just technically, sure. No doubts. No doubts. It's just very comfortable to have him there. And if like Apoor's at what's that? At the control room, yeah, like it's in safe hands. We fully trust. That's what we want. No,
Exactly.
We fully have that faith. And apart from that, just generally just hanging around, just getting the band, getting the sound, so easy. Just puts another layer of comfort. So you just feel more confident going in recording. I don't know. It just makes that whole process a little more less stuffy or less claustrophobic. There's no time pressure. There's no person there is not giving you looks when something doesn't go through. All those tiny things, body language and all matters. And it's such a chill dude.
Yeah, he makes you feel at ease. He also like one of the things he does really well is makes you feel that you're in control.
Oh man, is that some reverse psychology shit?
I don't know, but he does that, and he does that really well. Like he'll pull out that performance from you
for sure.
Yeah.
He also served as the mix engineer on our previous album, Miasma. Yeah, but this time we got him down, from Bombay, and so it was great. Yeah, he really knocked it out of the park for this one.
So here's a question for you, Vinay. You mentioned the whole like because of how reality demanded it, you guys ended up writing this album in a new manner. Henceforth, is there already a thought as to, man, from now on, Maneating Orchid has to be written in this way, or will it go like, no, man, I didn't really like, it's better to have everyone here and jam out everything, and that's the way to write? Is there an answer for that at the moment? Have you chosen already?
No, not really. I'm just gonna keep writing music regardless of what the circumstances. If the circumstance allows for us to jam and we all get in a room and practice, that's gonna happen. At the same time, whatever, if there's another lockdown or if everyone's tied up and we're not able to meet for whatever reason, I'm just gonna continue doing the programming thing. So it truly, I mean, so the good thing is for me, I don't have to wait anymore. Before it was that sort of a thing. So now it's like stuff gets written. How good or bad, sure. Most of the time it's trash. It's going to be. But that little bit of that catharsis that happens from recording a riff or just playing, that's constantly going to happen. I don't think it's wise to just choose and say, hey, we'll do this way, we'll do that way. Because just generally times are changing so fast. I don't know how your decision might just, lots of stuff around will affect the decision you make. So it's best, I think, you have something which is a little more flexible, I guess. So yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't have any such thing in mind. But yeah, I mean, if programming is sitting and working at home is what makes it tick. Sure, I'll do it. If I get to play with a drummer every weekend with the band, let's say, sure, we'll do that also. We'll mix it if required. I mean, who cares? Really, it's perfectly cool. All of it works, right? Good music churns out at the end of the day, and I'm so happy.
So, I hate to bring this analogy, but this is exactly like, you're talking about how the whole work from home culture happened, right? There was a time, because I worked in marketing and advertising, you have this thing where how can work be done from home? You have to be in an office, you have to be sitting in there, punch in, punch out. And then the moment everything went into lockdown and people could work from home, I'm one of those guys, I have to admit, I don't want to work out of an office. It's like completely... like,
tell me about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the difference is when it comes to music, it's more fun in the room for sure.
Oh, yeah, and it's not work.
When it comes to anything, I've realized this. If it comes to creative collaboration,
Exactly.
it's best to do brainstorming in like face to face, because that kind of rapping as such,
That energy.
that energy, you need that. Like, at least I need it. I can't. You can't brainstorm over a Zoom call, man. It's too cold.
For sure.
Especially with videos of.
Oh man, with videos of, then it's yeah.
And you might as well pick up a landline and start playing riffs for each other. No? That's how bad
Exactly.
it can get.
Yeah. Might as well start looking at a mirror and talking to yourself and figuring out if an idea is actually worth it or not. That would be the next evolution of it.
Oh man, that would be very sad. Sounds very sad. Unless you're
Yeah.
like some solo singer-songwriter and you're psyching yourself up every day. Man, I can do this and I can complete it. Sure. If you're playing with other people, that's so sad. That sounds very sad.
All right.
I'm just glad we're kind of like getting out of that phase now. You know, bands are back in the rehearsal rooms. Bands are back to, I guess, starting to play shows. So, yeah. But it's also like crazy because the fact that there might be another pandemic has become so normalized right now. I mean, like, okay, 2 years down the line, I mean, what's to say that's not, they're not going to be another. You know?
Humanity has learned now how to survive a pandemic in this day and age. And it's great that we've reached this day and age where we can easily survive it as long as we have electricity and the internet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a pandemic season and there's the season where you do all of your yearly work. So you kind of get to stuff it, right? You have like, let's say 9 out of 12 months in a year is like you work. 3 months, everyone's like forecasted a pandemic and everyone just goes into some sort of a hyper.
Exactly. Yeah. Weird.
It's like a 3 month of creative spirit. So at that time, the whole world churns out albums. The rest of the time, there's no art being made.
The rest of the time, there are podcasts to make sure people listen to those albums.
9 months of promo and then 3 months of like a bunch of art. Like Bandcamp just gets flustered because there's just way too much music coming with it.
So let's do that right now. Then let's play a song. Let's play a song.
Awesome.
Which song is the best song? Not the best song. Okay, which song would you pick to introduce somebody who's never heard this album before? And why that particular song?
So I mean, I would name a song that we haven't released a music video for or haven't a visualizer for. So we put out a song called Double Crosser, put out a song called Cover Up, and another song called Premonition. Yeah, but I think right now a good song to play would be, you know, a Cult of Personality. I think for me, I think it's a good song that sort of represents where we are at this point of time, and also sort of a good sampler from the album. Yeah.
Full disclosure, when I noticed that title, I immediately thought, "Oh my God, is this a cover of the Living Colour song?"
I have
Living
no
Colour?
idea who this band is. You know, even Macro Index, when they were talking on the podcast about it, you know, they were saying the same thing that it's you know, even they have the same song. Oh, these guys, you know, and it's funny because, like, you know, on the same podcast we were on an earlier episode, you know, our name Orchid. You know, there's a couple other bands whose name is also Orchid. I mean, not two. I mean, I'm guessing there are more, but yeah, it was funny to hear them point that out as well. But like, honestly, full disclosure, I have no idea about these guys. And in fact, when we named the band, we did not know about the other Orchids. So if we had known, we wouldn't have named it the same thing. But I just want to put that out there as well. And
same the case with Cult of Personality also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's solve one puzzle right now. Here is Maneating Orchid's Cult of Personality. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the name change too.
Megalomania.
All right. So before we talked about Cult of Personality and played the track, you were telling us about Orchid and the whole thing. So I'm guessing that was the reason why the shift between Orchid and Man-Eating Orchid. Now, we talked about brainstorm. What was the brainstorm within the band, right? That, oh my God, now there are like 5 different orchids. How do we change our name? And why just like add man-eating to it? I'm very curious to know.
Okay, it's very simple. Our Gmail was Maneating Orchid, and there was at some point after Miasma, we were like thinking, okay, we definitely need to probably like look for a different moniker just to differentiate ourselves and be more like distinctly. Obviously, the name should be different. So you needed to add something or delete something, and then we only had one word. And so at Gmail was maneatingorchid@gmail.com. So it kind of stuck, and we just renamed the band some point after Miasma released.
Stupid
And
question.
obviously it's more searchable and more Google friendly. So yeah.
Stupid question. Did you guys mean man-eating orchid or man-eating orchid? Like a person who likes to eat an orchid,
Right.
or an orchid that eats men?
I understand that question, and
or the flower eating men.
I'm in the man-eating as one word, like a man-eating tiger.
So an orchid who eats men.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to add another like really funny thing we read on one of these comments. I think on Toilet of Hell. The reason we also, I think we thought a little harder because all these, I think they were like these very hardcore fans of this one old orchid. And one of the comments that read was "Death to False Orchid." I'm like, shit. Now we have
That's
to
a good
change.
band name.
I don't want to die.
I guess it also helped when we got a death threat. I think maybe we were like, okay, maybe it's time to change the band name now.
So sorry, but I have to at this point add this story, right? And since you're from Bangalore, you're are familiar with the band Mind Snare.
Yes.
And yeah, they had a similar problem, right? Where there was a MIND.
Yes.
And this is back in the days, right? So they actually got like a death threat from the original Mind Snare saying, "You better change it." Yeah, that's what I've read, or at least I.
Yeah, that's even more badass, man. At least we got a death threat from a random dude on the internet. I mean, if the guy from the band is sending you a death threat, that's like stuff.
So that's why it became MYND.
YND. And so mine, the I one was when KP was it was literally his demo, right? That it was only him at that point. So somebody's figured this one guy at that time, and there was not so much internet, and has reached him. You give him a death threat. This is commitment. Hey,
knowing the Bangalore scene, it's possible.
But to be fair, the guy
I'm going to be getting that threat now.
Change your podcast name, Animesh, already.
Okay, this one specifically for Kaushal. Kaushal, this is like while prepping for this episode, I was trying to think of how many times you've appeared on the podcast already, and I think you're the first musician that's been on Honsap thrice now so far, and each time it's been with a different outfit. Okay, so how do you differentiate your approach for each outfit? And specifically, since we're talking Man-Eating Orchid, what's the thought mentality or mind space you have to put yourself into for Man-Eating Orchid? Do you like differentiate in that way?
Yeah, interesting question, man. So I would say like I guess more or less me when it comes to Maneating Orchid is because like it's a band that I started out in. So it was my first serious band. It was me, myself, Vinay, and Rahil Ahmed on bass, and Mayur Nanda on drums. So the lineup's been unchanged for the last 10 years, and so like I guess like that sort of like is my sort of foundation for where I am most of the time mentally, right? Like that's my base baseline.
Mm-hmm. So this is the most this is the most unfiltered version of you.
I mean,
kind of.
Kind of, I mean, sort of. You could say that. It's because, yeah, as I said, I've spent the most amount of time playing for a band, with Maneating Orchid, and I guess it's more or less natural territory to me, and I guess it really depends on the genre of the band. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a subconscious switch that happens when I appear with the other bands, but yeah, it's not something that I like. Be like, okay, this band I have to speak this way or be this way. But yeah, it's more of a even with the other bands, it's more like a natural subconscious switch. Yeah.
Has it ever happened that while you're with the other bands and you go like, holy shit, this is actually better for a Man-Eating Orchid song?
Oh, not really. I mean, because I look at it because in metal we have more of a we think a lot about niche things when it comes. I mean, we're a fucking nerd when it comes to subgenres, right? Like we talk about metal. It's not just metal. We're talking about death metal or thrash metal or black metal or whatever it may be. Even black thrash, black death, war. I mean, you can just like go on. So when you're playing with a particular band, you're trying to do things for that particular subgenre. So I mean, I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say, but yeah. So there's never that, okay, this would work for this band. I mean, I don't think it would, like in the first place, because I think when you're playing in a like black thrash band, what might work in that might not necessarily work for a stoner death band. I mean, death doom or whatever. You know what I mean, right? So
I get what you're saying. However, and while you were saying this, I had like a different way of looking at this. Is it weird for a band which is as proggy as Man-Eating Orchid to pigeonhole itself into a sound?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think when you put the term progressive, it already, of course, there's some tropes that come with the term progressive. Sure.
Yeah, we'll all be judging you like crossed arms, etc.
I can already see a John Petrucci. So the very fact that you have like short hair is like, oh my god.
Oh man, hey, you're teasing my hair loss. Okay. Anyway,
sorry.
I'm joking. Sorry. No, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, I think it's weird to pigeonhole pretty much any band into whatever sound, whatever the label is. It's progressive in the sense that we are trying to evolve and expand the sound within whatever we think we can do and what we have access to. But otherwise, sound-wise, it'll be tough. I mean, if you take just between the 3 releases we've put, I don't know how much and what you'll pigeonhole into what. It's going to be fairly difficult. And within the album and EP, each song itself is going to be fairly tricky. Like you were saying, we can literally like cheat between organizers and send different songs and say, hey, this song is this, this song is that. You can put us on a heavy metal bill and a grind bill and a pacifist bill. All this can happen. So I don't know if it's a good or bad. It probably won't do justice pigeonholing.
Fantastic.
Maybe it's good for it's good for marketing. Sure, if you want to get like some businessy work done, you're writing a record label. Sure, you can put that on your Gmail in caps on the subject line. Amazing. But if you truly want the full experience, there's nothing will work better than you running through the music firsthand.
Kaushal, come in.
I have something to add to that. Yeah. So as when I said, yeah, it definitely helps when it comes to like sort of like, if you're sending a mail or something, that's fine. But we don't want to be that. We don't want to be. No, I don't want to point fingers, but we don't want to be gimmicky where we use it as a gimmick to like get clickbaity thing, to get clicks online. I mean, we're not a band that tries for virality. We don't want to be viral overnight. There is some sort of an idea behind the band, and for us, it's more important to have artistic integrity than just become viral overnight. So yeah,
I had a good idea for you all, and considering Kaushal also works in marketing, have you all heard of Party Cannon?
Oh yeah, man! I've heard Party Cannon. They're a European slam death metal band, right?
Yeah, and they do the logo in multicolors. So because of that, they just stand out always.
Yeah,
but that's a kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, this is so funny because I've seen posters where it's like all of these like really crazy, like extreme looking. You know how brutal death and like slam death metal bands logos are. So everybody's got this branch kind of like root type logos.
Tree root font.
And then there's Party Karen in like a really happy font. Like it's an anomaly on that poster, but it's great. It works for them. I think they've sort of like cracked at least one part of standing out on the poster. I mean,
definitely. That
they worked it. I mean, they're winning that poster. Hey,
yeah.
Fully won that poster.
And the reason why I said it is because I just saw one poster like yesterday or day before like that, and I was like, oh my god! I just going back to our conversation that we had with them.
The poster is a meme by itself. You don't even you don't even need to say anything. You just take that, share it. You just put it out there. I mean, it's like a joke by itself. It's fun, but yeah. I don't have any issues with bands who do that. I mean, it's great for them. It's they're standing out on the poster, so that's what they're going for. So yeah, great, good for them. But I was also specifically talking more about using genre bait clicks or whatever. I mean, even when I sort of like put it in our social handles or whatever, I quite don't know what I should put. Like a lot of bands, when they share their music, they'll be like, okay, year of release, okay, genre, death metal, and me. Like every time I put that or every time I create something, I'm thinking, okay, this is what it should be, man. Like, so yeah, I think I just try to say heavy prog, and there's also like these days later on in our sort of 10-year, 11-year career, the mathcore tag was also sort of there. But yeah, I would say we're more of a prog band, and with a lot of what you would now call mathcore, I guess. Like we just happen to share some sonic elements. But yeah, I see ourselves primarily more as a heavy extreme prog band.
Okay.
I think mathcore has become I'm sorry to say this, but it's become a stereotype for people who don't play in 4x4. That's about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that pretty much that's one Venn diagram with that and the Dream Theater SQ prog, no? Because that's what you think prog was. But
none of us are big.
The number of bands that even use the term prog in front of their title, it's crazy. It's insane. Yeah,
none of us are big fans of Dream Theater also. Just wanted to put that out there.
But you know what? We've talked quite a bit, but I want to dive into like the lyrics of the album, right? And actually, that's where I was kind of alluding to in the start, where if you look at just the topics that are covered in there, right? I mean, we played Cult of Personality, and a lot of names come to mind, but
right.
more likely you'd hear we can say the names which are US based or European based than Indian. But
right.
What was that like? I mean, just in terms of lyrics in there, because that's where, at least compared to the other two bands that you're part of or were part of, at least one of them, Kaushal, that's where I could see at least the differentiating factor between Maneating Orchid and the others, right? Is when it comes down to the lyrics. So what was the approach this time around? I mean,
so yeah, I guess for Maneating Orchid, it just makes sense for us, more to like talk about just issues that we are like sick of generally. Like you go to a rehearsal room and like, sometimes the first thing you say is, man, the fucking traffic was horrible today or something like that. So yeah, we just try to keep it a little more real in Maneating Orchid. It's just stuff that irritates us and annoys us, and yeah, I guess it's just a very natural way to way for me to like write these lyrics. And I think that it sort of like continues from Miasma as well. If you look at Miasma's lyrics, even that dealt with a lot of socio-political stuff. So we kind of just like expanded on that on this album, Hive Mind, as well. Yeah, before that, actually on the EP, it was a bunch of weird shit. Like, I guess it was more like surrealism, techno-surrealism sort of thing going on. I mean, you'll find there's a song called Civic TV. It's it's Civic TV is something from the movie Videodrome, David Cronenberg, and I'm still into like a lot of that stuff, but yeah, that was back in 2016. So I guess like in Miasma, we kind of switched the lyrical themes a bit. That's when it became a little more socio-political, and it's kind of continued on Hive Mind.
Okay, now I want Vinay also to chime in on this, right? Is one of the things I've noticed, and you guys have been around at least as a band for a while. In India, you don't have a lot of company, let's be honest. Like the only band that I can think of is Heathen Beast, and Heathen Beast are anonymous for a reason, right? Why don't you think, and why did you guys decide to kind of go out, right? Because it's not, let's be honest, there's no commercial value to it, but at the same time, you're attracting maybe the wrong kind of attention. So why kind of stick out? Why kind of put out music like this?
Why is simply because that's our more natural response when we pick up our instruments, and that's what comes out of all the input that all the bands that we listen to, and then when we channel out, that's the end product.
I agree on that. Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much to be said apart from the. I mean, you can judge the sincerity, but that's honestly what it is. That's like straight up. I can look you guys in the eyes and say, hey, this is fully at any point I pick up the electric guitar and there's like distortion, or I have to work, or I have to get creative with some writing. This is going to be like base point. This is how like the music will come out. As far as why we don't have company, I mean, I think that also is just inherently in the sound itself. It's fairly difficult to get into it. 1 listen, 2 listen, 3 listens. I don't know if those amount of listens are even enough. You definitely need a few listens of any of the stuff we've put up. Not a good or a bad thing. It's a thing. That's what happens. Probably another thing, maybe a little more technical thing, is there are no repeating parts at all. There's nothing for you to. There's no hook. There's nothing for if there's some nice part happens, whether you're watching us live or you're listening to it. If some cool part happens, the part that you dig happens, it's happened and it's old, right? So there's no repeat value, right? So there's no repetition legitimizes thing, not at all. So if that is not there, I think that's one contributing factor. But inherently, the sound itself. I mean, within the metal community, I know this kind of music doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't fall into everyone's taste, simply because I think a lot of the, I guess the traditional metal, death metal, whatever in its most traditional forms, the songs are not structured this way. I guess the note choices are not the rhythms are not these. It's abrupt. It's changing a lot of the times. Some culmination of all of this has got to be why we don't have close company. Of course, there are guys out there who are doing some really cool experimental shit. But this is what I'm suspecting. I can only speculate. I mean, to be very honest.
Just to add to what Vinay was saying, it's definitely challenging listen. If you listen to Miasma, the first album or second album, Hive Mind, it's definitely a challenging slab of music to take. I mean, when you're talking about 30 minutes, it can be like hard on you in terms of, it's difficult to get into it for sure. And it's not for everybody. I mean, even for the, in the larger picture, metal is the same thing, right? It's not for everybody. And within that, if you're talking about, there is another thing, which is and that little thing is not for everybody in that sort of bigger metal picture, whatever you might say. But it's like for people within, for a group within a group. But the good thing about it is, you can actually, sometimes we get unexpected people from like bands, you'd expect appreciation from the most unexpected of places sometimes. So that's also happened. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we'd love to have some company, by the way. Hey, give us company. We love it.
So I would say Serpents of Pakangba's earlier stuff, like there is some of what we do, which Serpents I think also does in some parts. I guess when they were more in their avant-garde sort of avatar. I think now they're mostly evolving a little more into the folk kind of spectrum. But yeah, like I think their earlier stuff, you could definitely say they did have some sort of commonality with some stuff that Maneating Orchid did.
Also, another little thing I'd like to add is I think listening to our stuff, one of the reasons it's like challenging is because it requires a lot of attention. Something that a lot of people don't have nowadays. Because of growing social media, fast social media, everything is 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And it has to instant gratification has to happen. Which is what's going to happen if you listen to albums. It's going to be annoying as hell if you're looking for that. So it demands a lot of attention. And it demands it for a prolonged period of time, right? Because stuff is constantly changing. It's abrupt. It's taking right and left turns when you don't expect it to. So just to add,
and I think heavy music is in fact a great sort of genre pool to do that in, because there is this culture of like singles and everything in like other genres, right? Like I think metalheads and punks, or like people who listen to heavy music in general, I guess I see a lot of people listening to full albums rather than just singles and stuff like that. So I would say it's a great space, to do. And plus, this sort of music, it can't be like a singles thing. Like a person who listens to just singles of like different popular stuff, I don't think will like a band like us. I mean, I guess maybe people who are ready to listen to a full album or an EP, or who are in that space, they might appreciate it a little more.
Alrighty. So we've spoken for quite some time. So let's start wrapping things up. And here's a question then. At the moment, what does success mean or look like for you guys? And how do you think you guys are moving towards that? Very open-ended, but yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking in a very small fashion right now, because success would probably mean if we like clear out all of our CDs and T-shirts. So go buy our shit. That would be like great success.
Where can people buy your shit?
You can buy our shit on Instamojo within the country, Bandcamp, international. I'm sure we can like drop links and stuff. But yeah, on like a bigger thing, I don't know. What is it? I guess if the outreach number of listeners outside the country increases, I guess, because it clearly looks like there's a wider audience for this outside than it is here. So hoping that the number of listeners abroad, whatever, increases,
to add that,
within as well.
To add to that, we definitely want to go out and do more shows. We're a band that does not play live too much, because getting on the right lineups on the right time, it's important. And and the few shows that we do play, we rehearse the shit out of it, and we try to give a good show. So whatever one of shows that we do here, there, we give it our all. So we are working on a few Indian shows as well, and sometime in the future we do have plans to set up a small tour outside the country. We don't know how soon that might happen, but we're definitely thinking about it, because it'll be a great experience for somebody. I mean, so for a band like us who are in a sort of an alternative space, but yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see how it is probably in Europe or something like that. But and even in India, we do want to play more cities. But let's see what happens. We are working on a few live shows, and we will announce them shortly.
Fantastic. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and also add to the success bit. I mean, again, man, I don't think we really think of in such definite I don't know, I can't find the word for it, but I don't think we really think about the band like that. I mean, for us, it's more important to, write again. I mean, right now we just released an album, but we're already thinking about, the next one. Obviously, we're doing things for, promoting the album right now, and we want to, play shows and like sell our merchandise and all of that. But yeah, for us, I think success would be to, like we want to put out another album soon. And we're also like subconsciously working towards that. So yeah, I mean, I think these days success is defined by if a band sticks around for long enough. For us, it's,
that's what I realized, right? When you said you'll have been around since 2011, I was like, how many bands can kind of say that also, right? That in Indian terms,
Right,
India's longest.
Whatever. But yeah, it is what it is. It is.
And our Maneating Orchid's lineup has remained unchanged till Hive Mind, at least.
Now that is rare.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in. So taking some time and chatting with us. This was quite a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, man. It was really nice talking to you guys. And thanks for having Maneating Orchid over. And check out our, to whoever's listening, please do check out Hive Mind. We released it on March 17th. Again, as Vinay mentioned, you can buy our stuff in Bandcamp and Instamojo.
That's maneatingorchid.bandcamp.com. And we'll have it up in the show notes too. So anybody who's listening, you guys know what to do. And once you've done that, why don't you guys come back in and tell us how much you've enjoyed Maneating Orchid. As always, we are available. We're all ears at hornsupod.com or on Twitter at hornsupod. I'm at Asmani on Twitter.
I'm at Trend Crusher.
And this was Horns Up.
Horns Up, guys.
Horns Up.